We're studying AS level computer science, and we're starting file handling, which is really called file handling 1. Right. Let's open the book right here, and this is what we have: files. Now, Corinne, start reading from here.
I'm not seeing.
You're not seeing. Now, can you see the file? The book, files. Chapter 10, file handling. Can you see the book?
Yes.
Yes, start reading.
Computer programs store data that will be required again in a file. Every file is identified by its file name. In this chapter, we are going to look at how to use text files. Text files contain a sequence of characters. Text files can include an end of line character that enables the file to read from and return to as lines of characters. In pseudocode, text files are handled using the following statements.
Right, okay. Text files are handled using following statements. Now, in our syllabus, we only have text files. We won't be doing any different kind of files, text files. Okay. Now we have a few things. Corinne, read this line again. Text files. Read this.
Text files can include an end of line character that enables the file to read from and return to as line of characters.
Yes. So they have two things. What do they have? They have a sequence of characters and they have end of line character. Clear? Now, what is the job of this end of line character? That just tells us where is the line ending. Now, when we're writing something in a file, I need to know where is this line ending. And these are the lines. So at the end of each line, I'll add something. Let's say a semicolon. And if I add that, that will tell me that the line ends here. Or perhaps I can also put a full stop. Yes, that's what we do in English. That's an end of line character. Is that clear? So you can put a colon, a semicolon. It's your choice. Anything. You have to choose it. So it's your choice. Okay. You can also put a star. Asterisk. Okay. Next thing is we'll start with how to open a file. Now I'm giving you some commands from the top of my head. Write it down in your notebook. How to open a file. First you say open file, pretty obvious. Then you'll say file name, and then you'll say for read. Either you're going to say read, or it's going to be write, or it's going to be append. Now it's three either these of these. So it's or. Now you don't have to write or. It's just either you're opening it for reading it, or you're opening it for writing it, writing or something. You're adding something. What is the meaning of append? The append means to add.
To add.
Add. Right, easy. Add at last, or let's say add item element. Add yeah, add. Just think add. What's happening is if you have something like this. This is, let's say it's a list, right? If you append to a list, let's have another character here, 6. Now these two, 1, 5, 2, 8. That's a list of size 4. List of size 4. Okay. Now in this list, I can take this guy and add it here. That's called appending. Now, I can't add it at the front. That's not appending. Appending is always at the end. Is that clear? Perhaps you're writing something, a sentence. You can append something to it at the end. So th, then I'll append e. But I can't append it at the front or in the middle. Yep, that's it. Let's move on. Now I want you to focus. Yep. Read this part.
Reads data from the file, writes data to the file. Any existing data stored in the file will be overwritten as data to the end
of the file. What is the meaning of overwritten? replaced. Is that clear? Now, please write this on your notebook. Have you written this?
Not yet.
Add to end of file. Yeah, this is what I was saying. To end of file. This guy. Now, all of these are file mode.
Let's go with.
Done?
Yes.
Yes, all right. Okay, let's continue. Now, the next thing we have after this is read file, file identifier, which is the name of the file, forward file name. Okay, we can do that. That's easy. Now, next, once the file is open in read mode, it can be read from a line at a time. So what you do is you read at one line at a time. Okay. Let's say these are the lines in our file. I have a file like this, and it has these lines. So what it will do is first it will read this. Then it will go to the next line, then next line, then next line, one line at a time. Now, file identify basically means file name. Okay. So I want you to write this in your notebook. Reading a file. How do you read it? You read, say, read file, file name. After read file, we'll also say you can put a comma and put a variable there. Why am I putting a variable there? Because this file data, when I read something from it, it will be stored in this variable. Okay. Now, next thing is writing to a file. Write it in your notebook. So it's a read file. You're going to say write file. That's the only difference. Another thing, these guys must be string, right? Because we're dealing with text, so it must be string. Text. Done. Okay. Now one last thing we have is, or two things. First thing is, how do we close file? Or before we look at close file, let's look at how to know if there's an end of line, or how do you know if the file has ended? we'll do E of OF. This is called checking for end of file. Because a file has only so much information. It has, let's say, this right here is a file. And there's some line here, cat is black. Then it has, let's say, Korean. Then it has, let's say, nut, or let's say, my cat, then car. These are the lines here. First line, second line, third line, fourth line. But the thing is, after this, each of these lines has an end character, which is right here. And the last line will have something called EOF. So this is basically file has ended. This is called end of file. There's no more information here, it's done. So let's write, how do we check for that? That a file has ended. But there's no more information to check for. What we'll do is we'll say EOF, it's a function. Have we done functions in our classes? Korean?
I think I learned it in school.
In school,
In
function?
software development.
All right, okay. File identifier. That's it, that's a function, right? Instead of file identifier, we're going to write file name, same thing. Done. Now after this, you have to close the file as well. After you open a file, you have to close it. So closing a file. Done. Write all of this down. It's just a brief summary of what we'll be using in file handling.
Checking EOF. Then
Done. I won't be giving, I'm just teaching you the sort of pseudocode right now. We'll do Python afterwards. We can do this in Python as well, or any other programming language of your choice, C++, Visual Basic, whatever. Doesn't make a difference. But you need your laptop. Now, let's look at the code here. First, tell me what are they doing in the first line? What kind of code is this? These two lines. What kind of statement is this?
it's declaring the
Declaring. It's a declaration statement. Then, okay, what are they declaring? Two identifiers or variables, right? Two variables which are text line string and my file, which is also type string. Now, my file has something. What kind of statement is this?
That text, my text, don't take it, is stored in my file or increment. Stored. I don't know.
No, not increment. Stored or assigned. It's assignment.
Yeah, assigned.
How will it be increment when you had, let's say, instead of this guy, let's cut this out, you would have my file again plus 1. So whatever my file was already, you'll just add 1 to it. Fine. Assignment. Right. Next. Now, what kind of line statement is this?
It's opening a file.
Opening a file.
So that.
Yeah. So that. Open for.
Write it.
For writing. Yeah. Now repeat. What is this? Repeat.
It's not a condition. So
it's a loop. Okay,
Yes, Lupa.
loop start. So okay, what kind of loop is it? It's end condition loop. We don't need to care about that right now. We'll revise it after. It's a loop. That's you need to care. That's what all you need to know. Loop start. Now we're outputting something, right? Please enter a line of text. We're asking someone to put something. Then input, we're taking input and we're storing it into text ln. Text line. Let's call it text line. Now text line is not. What is the meaning of this? This operator.
I think I know, but I forget. Not null or
Not
something.
equal. Not equal. Right? So if it's not this, not equal,
Oh, not equal.
there are two ways to do this. You can also use this card. It's your choice. But this is fine, not equal. That's what it means. Then write file. Text ln. So write file. What are you writing? Whatever the variable, whatever is stored over here, whatever the thing is stored in here. Let's say input. I gave an input of what? Let's say I gave an input of hello. Hello world. That's my input. That's a line. And I'll put a full stop here as well. That's my end of line character. Okay. Now what happens is this text of line is also hello world now. This thing. So what happens after this is you put the thing in the file. If my file was like this, a few characters, lines, lines, lines. At the end, it will put hello world. Dot. And then it will else. Okay. That's you're using what kind of statement is this, Corinne? This card.
If statement.
It's a conditional statement. Yeah, if conditional. Conditional statement. Fine. Then if it's not empty, if it's not blank, what is the meaning of this? Blank.
If it's not blank.
Blank, or let's say empty, perhaps. Empty is better.
If it's not
Because
equal,
everyone uses the word empty. If it's not empty, then do this, write it, else
That's
close the
fine.
file, end it. You have to repeat this until the text line is empty. No more input. Okay. Then output, the file contains these lines of text. You open the file for reading and you repeat again and again. You'll take one line and output it, one line, output it until you reach the end of file. Then you close file. I'm going to go up again and you have to tell me what's happening. Start from the top.
It's declaring to identifiers
Okay.
text element in my file. My text.
Okay, I'm going to ask you questions. Let's say if I ask you, what is the purpose of text ln? Text line, text ln.
So when the user output the text, it can be stored in it.
So it stores, let's read here. This is an identifier table with description. You should also have a data type here, but they haven't added that. Yep. Now you read it. What is the point of this the text ln? It's a line of text. Yes.
Yes.
And my file is the file name. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's continue. Now you're storing this name of file. This guy, this right here is the file name, which you're storing. My file, my text.txt is a file, and you're storing it in this variable. Fine. Then what happens? Gone.
The file will be open. So my file will be open so that it can be to write.
Okay.
Then it will be repeated.
Repeated until what?
Until text is empty.
Empty. Okay. Now what is happening? What is happening in the loop? The repeat loop. What actions are happening?
The computer display enter a line of text to the user, then the user will be to enter a line of text which will be stored in text ln. Then if text ln is not equal or empty, it will end. If it's not, wait, what?
What?
Or else,
Yeah, go on. Then what happens? If it's
or
not
else,
empty, what will happen?
if it's empty, the right right file, the right file would be to write a file, something like that.
Not to write a file. What is the purpose of writing a file? This basically appends or adds, let's say, writes to file. Okay, writes to file. What
Right.
it does is it basically writes data to file. Look over here. Once a file is opened in write or append mode, it can be written to. So you can add something. Now we haven't opened it in append. So what happens is we did not open it in append. We opened it in uh, write mode. This. What it will do is write file will enter the text of data, whatever the person is adding, that will go over here in this file, right? So all the data is replaced and you're putting new data. You're writing this to file, okay? Now, then what happens? It will keep repeating until the input of text ln, whatever the person is inputting, is now empty. If it's empty, then you close your file. Clear? Now you tell me what is happening here.
The computer will display the file contains this line of text. Then it will open my file so that the user can read it, I guess.
Right? So you can
Then
read the file, right? You know,
we can read the
so
file.
no editing, no writing / editing. Fine. Then
Just the loop of repeat the read file. What is this? The text ln file will be reading
so
a
let's
file
say
actually.
reading a file. Now what happens if I have some lines here? You tell me what happens in the line. If I have a few lines here, let's say orange
It will
line.
be checked. It will be read one at a time, on each line one at a time.
Each line one at a time.
Just with the endpoint.
Yeah. So let's say the endpoint is here. Okay. So now it will first read what? It will read this guy. That will be stored where? In text ln. So this goes into text ln. And then from text ln, it goes into output. Right? Then you can see one line. Now after you see one line, the thing repeats. It hasn't been end of file yet. So it will read the next line and output. Read the next line, store it into this guy and output this guy, this text line. Then read until you output, and then you check. Now there's an end of file here. So the loop closes. And then what do you do after that?
Until EF.
So we reach
Then the
EOF,
file will close.
close, and then the program will end. Does this make sense?
A bit.
A bit, yeah. But you're not supposed to become a master of this in one day, but you need to know if what's happening here. What is the basic process? Now, I don't think I should start these things because these are kind of difficult. Now, let's do one thing. We're going to practice a little bit of this, of opening a file. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes. Now let's go here. Now we won't start abstract data types today, but don't miss the next class. Then we will start there. Yep, because I have two options. Either I can go very fast, or I can take my time and teach you everything. But for that, you'll have to join classes. Now, abstract. No, sorry, not abstract. File handling. Examples. Let's start with the first one. Perhaps I could teach you this in Python, but we don't have that today. Now, firstly, we'll start with example one. I have a file, let's say file called list of products. Yeah, that's my file. List of products dot txt. Now, why am I writing this dot txt?
Because it's formatting text.
It's
I
a
think.
file type. File type. Do you know
Okay.
what file types are? Or file extension.
Yes.
Just like
GNG,
MP4,
GPN,
PNG.
GPN, GMG something.
Do you know PNG? For
I think
images. Write it down in your notebook. MP4 is for video. You should know a little bit of this, right? So write it down in your notebook. .mp4 is for videos. .png is for images. You should have done this in theory, by the way. Chapter number 3, perhaps.
Oh yeah. No, wait, I think chapter 1, right?
Chapter 1, perhaps. I'm not sure, but 3 you should have this. So that's done. Let's move on. Now I'm going to make this file here, and imagine this is a file. I can show it to you as well on the screen. Just a second. Now I'm sharing it to you. Okay, Korean, can you see this? The file.
I
There's,
don't see anything.
you don't see anything.
Yes.
There's a white background,
Yeah.
I'm going to enter something. Let's say I'm going to zoom in first, and let's say hash is for comments. Yeah, so I'll say this is list of products .txt. Now this notepad will in your laptop will store files in .txt file. This is what a txt file looks like. I can write whatever I want. Let's say first thing first, I'll write a product, perhaps laptop. I'll say cake is a product, car. This is what we're selling in my store, or perhaps store of Korean. Yeah, you open a shop, you have all these things there. What else can we sell? Come on, Korean, tell me. I need 2 more.
Phones.
Say that again. If you open your shop one day, perhaps what would you like to sell? Your dream product.
Coffee. Iced coffee.
Iced coffee. That's cool. Perhaps then we can also sell a cappuccino. That's all we are selling. I'm restarting the meeting. Rejoin ASAP. Yes. I'm adding something at the end of this file. At the end of each line. That is a star character or an asterisk. Okay. So this will tell me if the line has ended. This is an end of line character. End of line. I'll write it at the top. So hash end of line character is star. Fine. What else do we know? I'll just say end of line here. Year. Yep, that's year. So the file starts here. We can ignore these guys. Then we have laptop, cake, car, iced coffee, cappuccino. Okay, then end of file. Let's go back here. Perhaps I can take a picture of this. Just a second. Let's bring it here. Now, can you see the whiteboard?
Yes.
That's your file right there. Can you see the file?
Mhm.
Okay. Now our job is a question is asking us. Let's say the question is print or output all lines in the file called file in the file called, what is the file? Products.txt. I'm just going to cut this part out. Forget this. Yeah. Products.txt. .txt. How do I do that? Output all the lines in file called product.txt. What is the first thing we need to do?
Open the file.
Open file, and then I'll say, what is the name of the file? Tell me.
The file name. I don't know. Scroll up.
It's right here. File called.
Oh, file called products.txt.
Now I can do it directly. I can say products dot txt. I can do that like this, but I'll have to put a text here. I can do that, but I won't prefer this. Okay, what I would prefer is first we'll declare something. What will we declare? We'll declare text line. So let's say line or text line. And what is the type of this? String.
String.
And we'll declare something else. And okay. Next thing is I'll declare file name, and that will also be string. Let's start. File. Now I'm going to store some name in file name. What is the name? The name of the file is products dot txt. Done. Now next thing after this, what do? I open my file. So open file.
How do you know what to declare?
How do you know what to declare? That's a very good question. Because see, I'll create an identifier table first. That they will ask you to do this in the exam. Identifier table. Now, what kind of identifiers do I need? What kind of variables do I need? Same thing. I need something. First, I need a text line. Why do I need this? To store all lines of file. Okay. Forget not all lines, just to store each line of file, or let's just say lines of file. Okay. Line in file. Now read this. Text line. Why do you need it? Read this part.
To store line in the file.
Now, what does the question ask? Read the question, Kareem.
I'll put all lines in the file called products.txt.
Now I need to output all the lines. So I need something to store the lines first before I can output it, right? All information must be stored in variables. So whatever information you need in the exam, you have to store it somewhere. So for every information, you need some variable. And especially for the file name as well. To ask the user file name, I'll have to store file name stores name of file. Now one thing I can, instead of entering it, I can also take input, can't I? Let's take input. Perhaps I can say output. First I'll output, I'll say enter name of file. Makes sense? Now I'll take input file name. Is that clear? What is happening here? Input of file name, or asking user for file name. Fine. Make sense? Any questions?
No.
Now the next thing we're doing is open. So I'm going to say open. Now your book is doing something different. Uh, hmm. It's just saying open. So we'll open what? We have to open file name for. Now, why do we need? Why? What are we doing right now? We're outputting. So are we entering any data? No. We're only reading it. So we'll say for read. Done. Now the next thing we need to do is we have to create a loop. We'll say repeat. What will we repeat? We will repeat.
The lines until EOF.
How do I know? How do you know how much further do I have to go when I write something? If you look at the book, whenever they start a loop, they create this thing, this part. How do you know how much distance is this? Have you
Say
thought of
what?
this? Let's okay. Look at this. Now, when I start repeat, when I start a loop,
I'm saying
all the
anything.
lines are after a little bit forwards. Yes.
I'm not saying anything.
You don't see anything. Just a second. Now, can you see it? The book.
Yes.
Now, when you start a loop, these lines are a bit on the a bit forward. Yes.
Hmm.
There's this much distance here. Why is that there? Called an indent. What is it called?
Indent.
Write it in your notebook. So indent is, what is indent? It is, let's say, I'll give you the proper definition. Just a second. Space before code line. Write it in your notebook. Tell me when you're done. Fine. Now let's go back here. So we'll say, and how much is it? It's just 5 spaces on a computer. So I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's equal to 5 spaces. 5 space bars. Is equal to 1 indent. That's not important right now. Let's continue. Now repeat. What do I have to repeat, Kuren? Now we have to read the line from this file. So what I'll say is read file. Okay. I'll read file, and what do? I store them somewhere. Where should I store them? In text line. Then what do? I'm going to output this. So output text line. And then I have to do this until EOF file name. Done. Then after this, what do I have to do at the end? If I open a file, I must close the file. So close file.
Yes.
And what is the name of it? It's a file name. Close file name. Now please write this in your notebook, the whole code. Tell me when you're done.
Yes.
Corinne, please change something here. You should sign open. You should say open file instead of just open. You should have open file. Not this, but this. Okay.
Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. What I said was when you open a file, you don't just say open. You have to say open file. Right?
Mhm.
Done. That's it. Now, have you finished writing?
What's done?
All right. Take your time.
Yeah.
Done.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what if I say the next question is replace, or let's say add the products, add the following products to product.txt. And the products are, let's say, what are they? Choose. We have done coffee. Let's do tea. And let's just do donuts as well. Yep. So those are the two products you have to add.
Open file.
So how do I solve this? Right. Okay. So I'll answer it here. First thing first, we declare variables again. Declare what? Declare, tell me. What are the two? Say that again. Text line. I can change this as well, but text line is fine.
Mhm.
Then I'll say string, and then
Mm.
now the next thing we do is output. We say out to enter the name of file. So enter file name. Then we store this in file name input. Then we'll open file name, open file name for what? Append or edit or write.
Append.
Append, because we're adding it. We don't want everything to go away. That would just destroy our business, right? I don't want to do that. So we'll add append. So the information which was already in the file does not go away. That's what we're trying to do. Open file name for append. Fine. Next thing is the repeat. What? Okay. I indent. I put the indent. Then I'll say write. Right. I'll say just a second. Write file. So write here. Write file. Now look, it has the only thing that changes over here is for append. Write file will stay as it is. So write file. What is the file name? File. I don't have to say file name. I'll put comma, and then what do I have to add? Text line. But I haven't taken the text line yet. I don't know what text line is. So first thing first, I'll have to take an input from the person about the text line. What is the line? Just a second. So I'll say output, enter product name, or let's say enter next product name. And then what I'll do is I'll say I'll take input. Where should I take? What should I take input in?
Text line.
Text line. And then I'll say write file, text line. Perfect. Finally, well, that's it. That's all you have to do. Until what?
To EOF something.
No, not in this case. No, not in this case. Why? Because we're not reading a file. We're adding something. So I'll have to put one more thing here. I'll have to put an if condition, which is if text line is not empty, then you have to write it. If it's empty, then what are you adding to file? It will be constant loop, right? So you have to only enter data if there is some data. If the user did not give any product name, you should just close the file and stop. So in this case, what we're doing is we're first checking if the text line is not empty. Whatever he input, there is something there. Then done. Then we'll say else if it is empty. Okay, if it is empty, then I will close my file. And how long will I do this? Until text line is empty. So what's happening here? What's basically happening is, just a second. We first repeat until the text line is empty, until the user which is giving the input does not give an input. As long as the user gives some input, we will keep adding it to the file. And I have to also do one more thing, which is end if. Yeah. Whenever you open an if, you should close an if. In the same way we have these guys. Repeat, then until. Yep. And finally, what do I do after this? Anything else? No, that's it. Because see, the file is being closed here. So our goal is to close the file and when the text is empty. If it's not empty, then you can keep doing this part. And if it is empty, then close file, end if, and stop the loop. Please write this on your notebook. Tell me when you're done.
Yes. Done.
Done. Okay, good. Fine. I think that is going to be all for today. Now, in the next class, we have to start doing something else, which is abstract data types. I'm just going to tell you what they are for 2 minutes, and then we'll end the class. Just a second. I'm adding these in your notes, right? You get all these notes in your GCR. Check the notes, revise them. If you don't get something, if you don't get a class recording, ask me, because you are supposed to get the class recordings for every class. Yeah. Okay. So to help you in the revision. Now let's go here. Corinne, can you see the book?
Yes.
Yes. Now you have abstract data types. You have stacks, queues, linked list. These are the three: stack, queue, linked list. Now these are very good. These are modern. When you go for a job right now, if you want a job in computer science, a lot of people will ask you for linked list. Okay. But stacks and queues are kind of old. They have been here for a long time. That's not, it doesn't really matter. That is not important. That's just random facts. But we are caring about stacks, queues, and linked lists. We'll see what they are in the next class. Abstract data types are basically uh, they also collect a collection of data, right? Like like arrays. Like arrays they store a data, but these guys they also store a collection of data, but they work differently. They don't work like these guys. They work differently. That's all that there is. Okay. Yep. Yep. That's it. We'll do that in the next class, and then the chapter should be over. Yep. So chapter over. Then we'll start programming. We have functions in programming and library. Well, I don't think you'll be asked library. The only thing in chapter 11 is functions. Done. Now, just stay for a second. We're done.